Welcome to this week's episode of Hotter Than Health. This is a podcast focusing on fitness, nutrition, overall wellness, and truly optimizing your life. We've had a lot of solo episodes. Today, we are bringing you an interview. And this interview, I cannot stress enough just how easy it was to talk to Casey Cline on a mic. This girl knows her stuff. She knows her stuff. She is an elite performer. She is a coach. She's also an architect. This girl has her time management down, and really she just doesn't give herself any excuses. I was so motivated after talking to Casey. I really feel that this is a very real conversation. She isn't sugarcoating any of her training. She's not putting out any excuses, and she's just letting us know, hey, this is what it takes to achieve this type of credibility within the fitness space. And I think that there are, whether you're a runner or not, and I consider myself a recreational runner, she is a pro. This is not just for runners. Yes, we do talk about running, but you can consider this advice for any sport. One thing I wanted to talk about before we get into today's episode is we have had lots of conversations on the podcast about hormones and women training for different phases of their cycle. What I really appreciated about Casey's insight here and her overall perspective was she did address it. She said, yeah, I totally understand, but I loved her perspective because she has such strong goals for herself, but she's also so incredibly healthy and mindful. So I like the way that she has reframed and repurposed all of the hormone conversations about training at a certain time. This girl has a schedule. She can't let her hormones throw off what her schedule is needing her to do for her training. And she just really knocked it out of the park. But you may be asking, who is Casey Cline? And if you're not in Charlotte, or if you're not familiar with the ultramarathon world, this is who Casey Cline is. She's not only a friend, but she's a supportive certified marathon and ultra specialized running coach. She's passionate about building strong, well-rounded athletes. She's also a registered landscape architect, a Charlotte native. She ran a 3:06 marathon. She is a 100-mile ultra finisher. That's 100 miles. Hello. She received her Charlotte Business Journal's 40 Under 40 award. She's a pace leader at the Morning Miles Run Club, which is the run club that I go to down the street from my home. She is currently training for ultramarathon Mont Blanc World Series race in August. So wish her super luck for that in a couple of months. And her goal right now is to run a sub-3 marathon and a sub-24-hour 100-miler. This girl has the biggest goals, and it's so refreshing to see someone just bite down, grin, and put the work in. And I feel like she's someone who truly gets so much joy out of the hard work that she puts in, and gets even more joy seeing her athletes that she trains reap all of the benefits of their hard work. This is such a great interview, and I highly recommend sharing it with your friends who are in the running space, or who are interested in joining Morning Miles or a run club, or if you just are interested in hearing awesome women speak about their stories within the fitness world. Welcome to the podcast, Casey Cline. All right, Casey Cline, welcome to the Hotter Than Health podcast. Thanks for being here today in my apartment.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, we were just doing a quick sound check, and now I'm checking back. Everything looks good. Okay. We started talking about doing this interview. When was that?
It was like 2 years ago.
Was
it
that
2 years? No, it was last May.
April or May.
Yeah, last May, a year ago. Yeah.
Last May. And I remember when I first met you, I didn't really know anything about you other than you were a runner, and I had been introduced to you by some people, and I remember meeting you being like, I'm scared.
I don't know why. I'm not that scary.
No, but I was intimidated because I was like, okay, she's smart. She's leading this pack. Like you're giving alpha female. And
I'm an Uber planner. Like I need the details to be in line, especially if I'm going to go run a 50 miler in Bryce Canyon.
In the middle of the wilderness, in the middle of the night, and well, actually, I guess it went into the day, but
yeah.
But I remember we ended up chatting in the kitchen while everyone was getting ready for dinner before this massive race, and everyone was carbo loading it. I was too, and you just started talking about nutrition and racing and your life, and I was like, we gotta hit record.
Yeah.
At some point. I think that for people who don't know you, because I know there's a lot of people in the Charlotte, not just athletics, but in the Charlotte area who know your name and know what you do. For someone who has never gotten the chance to meet you, how did you get involved in running? How did you get involved in the fitness community? Like, where did this all start?
Well, I would say this started in high school on the track, but I guess I'm a local Charlotte native. I grew up around Lake Norman, went to East Lincoln High School, and
Rep.
Yeah, just went to NC State, just very local. And I think that's probably a lot of my roots because I know the city so well, and it's always been home. It has this iconic vibe when I land back at Charlotte Douglas. Every time I come home, it just feels like warm and cozy. And yeah, but I went to NC State to become a landscape architect and studied there, went to grad school, found running really in college a little bit more. In high school, I think, I was running on the track. I was running 400s, 100s. I felt like I was super fast. And then, I remember my high school track coach. He was like, run an 800. I was like, no, that's too far. And so then I got to college, and I think, my best friend, I attest a lot to her. She was on the cross country team, and she would always go out and run. And, I think I just aspired to be like her. And so I started running more, and then took a run conditioning class in college, and started off with a 10K, and 10K turned into a half, and half turned into a full. And
10K is 6 miles, right?
A 10K is 6 miles,
okay.
Yeah. So, and then a half is 13, a full is 26, and really just fell in love with running. It was something that brought me a lot of mental clarity in grad school. My day job is a landscape architect, and design school's tough. And so as an outlet, I would go run. I'd call it it was a place where I found creativity. It was the place where I could just let my thoughts run. And then I would come back to studio, and I would have my breakthrough idea. And so running just became this kind of balancing act between that and design. And it was fun. And then I graduated school, moved back to Charlotte, and just kind of made this place home, got active in the running community. I was a Charlotte ambassador for 4 years. I was on the board for the Charlotte Running Club. And then I think in 2017, I had become a run coach. I just had people asking me for advice, and I thought, what better way to help than to become a coach? And so I got a run coach certification and started coaching, and now I coach about 25 athletes all over. I have one girl who's in Edinburgh who it's just super fun, and then just people all over the U.S., and then a lot of athletes here in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Just enjoy being out in the community and running and seeing other people get excited about it as well. But that's, yeah.
It's such a pure start. Because, you hear David Goggins interviews, and he's like, I got hit by a bus, and then all of a sudden I just had to run and to get it out of me. And, we were talking about this before. It's like, you don't always need to have that huge life moment Sometimes you just see a friend and you recognize the discipline in that friend and you think, oh, wow, I admire that discipline. And it just so happened, like if you had observed a friend who was a swimmer or a friend who was doing another sport, maybe that would have been your thing. But it so happened that you it clicked. You started in high school, more so sprinting though. You started sprinting, which is, I think, a completely different beast because people think sprinters and I'm thinking athletes, quads, butts, move. And then I'm picturing, and here's like, you got to think of me as almost a kindergartner having this conversation. Okay, new runner. Then you think of some of these marathoners who are little wafer thin, which this is not, I'm not trying to discriminate. It's more just you observe these trends in bodies. So when you got into running, you said you went from 10K to half marathon to full marathon. What was it that was motivating you to do more? Because I think when people would get they'd be like, oh, wow, I'm crushing these 10Ks. But it's a big jump to start doing marathons. Some people, that's their whole life bucket list is to do one marathon, and you're like eating them as snacks. Where's the motivation coming from to just do more?
I think as a general character trait, I'm curious. It makes me really good at my job as a designer, but it also makes me maybe a little bit curious in running. And I think that's what it was, is I saw a friend running a half marathon. I was like, ooh, I think I could do that. And just kind of got curious about training. And honestly, my first half and my first marathon, I trained myself. And I just found a plan online and just went with it. This was back in 2012, 2011. So, I mean, a while ago, like 12, 13 years ago. And just got curious about it and wanted to see, what my body could do. And could it go that distance? I just remember telling myself for the marathon, I was like, I want to run 26 miles before I turn 26. Like, that sounds like a cool goal. Yeah. Like,
so it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Like 27 when I'm 27, 28, and then you just kept going.
Well, yeah, except I think I kind of made a jump. But I think I was just curious. And I think that can lead you into a lot of things, not only running, but just like different avenues of life, of just being curious about getting into something and using that as a reason to start.
I hope that people really hear that, because there are a lot of people who really get intimidated just by the start. And anything is new when you first start, and anything new is scary when you first start. And the stakes are so low with running because you're not walking into a big bulky weightlifting gym. You're not, it's pretty low stakes. Of course, that's if you have a body that doesn't click and creak every single step. There's definitely some preventative measures, but I want to talk about just getting started. So if you're looking at someone's listening to this and they want to get started, they say that maybe there's someone in their life who is a runner, maybe they want to get into a club. Where do you think people get hung up on in just starting?
I think a lot of people get hung up on making running more than what it is. Running doesn't have to be a 7-minute mile. Running doesn't have to be a 10-minute mile. I mean, running can be a walk run. It doesn't, your pace, I think a lot of people get hung up on, oh, well, I'm not a runner because I can't run X pace. And really, running is just a form of moving your body, and it can look any way you want to. But I think simply getting curious about it and just starting and putting one foot in front of the other, and stop trying to make it what it is. You don't need a watch. You don't need special super shoes. You don't need all these things. You just need to go outside and move your body. I mean, you don't even need shoes. You could go out and run on grass.
Run on the grass, run on the beach.
Yeah, but it's such an amazing human expression, and it's something that we were all born able to do. And I think it's just you just got to put one foot in front of the other. It's human nature.
Yeah.
In a way. It's something primally that we are engineered and wired to do. And I think trying to put it on, a certain way to do it, or, you have to have X, Y, and Z. You've got to be this kind of person. Um, anybody,
Yeah.
anybody can run. I think it's just putting one foot in front of the other.
Agreed. Completely agreed. And just like anything, you make it a community. You do it with friends, or you just go for a walk and then you're like, oh, actually, you know what? This walk feels pretty good. Instead of walking faster, maybe I run for a minute. So there's a million ways to do it, and there's no perfect way to cut the cake. Let's talk about, we were talking earlier, there's so many topics on here that I'm trying to hold back almost, because I feel like once we get started talking about run club, once we start talking about nutrition, like we can really just go off. Let's talk run culture. When I was growing up, I would watch my mom go run half marathons, and she absolutely loved it. But it was like her crew of 30s, 40s. They would go to the YMCA, they would do their thing, and then they would go meet at the race. It was pretty chill. Now, you go to something like Morning Miles in Charlotte, and there's 200 fit-ass people outside.
It's a house party at 6 a.m.
It is crunk at 6 a.m. They're doing cold plunges. They're drinking lattes. They are chest bumping. It's a vibe. There's DJs. There's a drone. And you're like, what is happening? Let's talk about the evolution of run culture a little bit. How do you think Charlotte ranks in running culture compared to other places?
I think we're on the move. You look at places like Austin, which has a really big just fitness vibe, and I think Charlotte is definitely on the move. There's so many run clubs. There's a spreadsheet somewhere that has them all on it, and it's wild because it feels like there's one popping up like every week.
And they fill up. It's not like one or two people.
Yeah, they bring a crew with them, and I think it's something really special, and it's an amazing way to meet people. I mean, I'll be honest. Back when I was single, I wish they had so many run clubs, and I think one of the things that deterred me from run clubs for the longest time is just I need to run in the morning. And now there's all these morning run clubs that you can go to every day of the week with people who want to run in the morning.
Literally every day of the week. It's not, there's no excuse.
Yeah. And it's a great way to meet like-minded people. It's a great way to network. I actually was in my review with my boss the other day, and he's like, do you want to join this professional organization? I said, honestly, to be like kind of frank, me going to these run clubs at 6 a.m. is the best way I can go network. Like, I'm meeting professionals who are in banking and, real estate and all kinds of different avenues who are like-minded, who resonate with me, instead of me going to a professional organization where everybody's stiff and drinking.
Yeah.
And so I just think it's, you can have really amazing conversations. And it's a great way to meet people. If you're single, go to a run club.
Yeah, let's talk about running clubs as the new dating app.
I love that.
Someone texted or messaged me about that because they saw that I was going to this run club. And although I'm really not even in the scope of thinking about dating right now, I definitely can see how that happens. Instead of getting on apps, because you're going to hear the same conversation. Oh, dating apps are all the same, or you see the same people, or it's tough to make plans, whatever it is.
I think it breaks the apps.
Yeah,
because it's it's a completely organic way to meet people, which is you think about it, before the apps, that's how people met. You met at the gym. I'll be honest, I had a couple different gym memberships when I was single, just so I could meet different people. And I think it's it's a great way to
it ain't cheap either way you go, but
yeah it's
and you go with a friend. So I go to the run club with one of my girlfriends and her husband. Love it. And I will say, when I show up, because I want to have a real conversation, because the culture of run club is awesome and fun and cool, but I still show up. And I mean, I'm running, I feel confident in my physical abilities, but I show up and I'm like, who do I talk to? I if they aren't with me, it's so bizarre, because they are cliques. I was at a workout this morning, shout out Fit Farm, and there was a girl there who heard that we were doing the run club. And she goes, man, I used to do that run club, she used to do a run club, not anyone in particular, but she used to do a run club, but she found that it was tough to find people to either run with or talk to. What's your approach if you, Casey Cline, went into a different run club, didn't know one single person, and they didn't know that you were this super freak run athlete? How would you approach making new friends in a new place? How are you going to do it?
I feel like, so just getting there and starting the run, you'll get in like little groups of people where you can just interject in the conversation. If you're like, I would say, get with a pace group that you can have a conversation and run.
Good point.
But I would say specifically with morning miles, if you're new, and go talk to the pace group leader. Like, that's the first person who's like very open and, will have a conversation with you on the fly. And
they're leaders because they can have a good conversation.
Yeah. But I would say most people at run clubs are pretty open.
Yeah.
And, just starting a conversation, if somebody's not having a good day, well, that's pretty normal with any area of life. So just talk to somebody else.
Yeah.
Find somebody. I was at a run club, a summit on the plaza on Friday, and I kind of got there. I looked around. I got there kind of late, and they were like literally starting to run. I knew a few people, but I ended up running with a girl. Her name was Gretchen. I had never met her before, and we were just talking. Hey, what races are you signed up for? Hey, how did you get into running? Do you always do this run club? Just finding like little nuggets that can lead to a whole conversation. And the next thing, we knew there was 4 miles that had passed by. So, it's a great way to meet new people. But I think just starting with just talking.
And then having familiar faces, like you'll see the similar suspects every time you get in there. And even people with dogs are a great way to do it. You're like, oh, you go up to the dog, start talking to the dog, and then you'll end up talking to the human behind it. We were talking about this on the phone yesterday, you and I, and we also mentioned, hey, when you get in there, if you're not someone who can just chit chat while you're running, because I like to chit chat for a minute or two, and then I'm like, huff puff, I need to pump the brakes for a second. Running in silence is also fine.
Yeah. I mean, just get in your groove, running with people. I feel like there's this sense of security.
Yeah.
Just kind of being in the pack and, you
know.
know.
You feel like you're a part of something even if you're not talking to people. That's how I've been doing it. I'll typically run by myself or go a little ahead or behind of whoever I'm running with, and it feels good.
Yeah.
And we are an isolated culture. We're in our desks, we're working remote, we're doing all these things by ourselves. And I would consider myself pretty introverted. So having these forced modes of just being in groups is, I think, very healthy.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And the best thing is like, if you slow down, you'll probably catch other people. Like, Morning Miles does a good job because they have pace groups. But, like, some of the other run clubs, you'll just run into other runners who are like, hey, am I going the right way? And you can just kind of follow along. So I don't think there's any shame in running in silence or just,
Run the way you want.
Yeah.
Show up. And I have some friends who have said that they'd be interested in going, but one, it's too early. It's like, okay, there's nothing we can do about the time. You just wake up.
Yeah.
Get there. It's like people are up. It's way earlier than that.
Holding each other accountable to be there.
Full on. But they're saying, oh, I'm, it's early. And then I'm like, oh, then go to one after work because there's a ton of happy hour ones. But it's also a really great option for if you don't want to drink, because you don't really drink, you said.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, can we put a pin in this and go back to the miles groups? What are the time groups that?
So there's anywhere between a 7:30, 8:30, all the way up to 10-minute pace. And there's even people that go there and walk.
And there's a 2-mile loop.
And there's a 2-mile loop and a 4-mile loop. So yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of options, especially if you're just getting into it and you just want to do 2 miles. Yeah, that's always an option. There's always a shorter. Most run groups have a 3 and a 5.
Yeah, that's what I've been seeing.
Or 2 and 4. So there's always a lot of options. But I would say if you're new to a run club, try to find whoever's leading it and just be like, hey, I'm new. Is there anybody you recommend I run with today? Or, hey, just say, will you run with me? Because most likely that leader will run with you, or find somebody to run with you.
There's no better feeling than when someone comes to you as a trusted resource. Mm-hmm. It actually feels great. Yeah. Because if you're lifting in the gym and someone's like, hey, like, how do you use that machine? I'm like, oh, gear up, girl. Time to talk. And even if I don't feel like talking, you just know that, one, it took a lot of courage for that person to ask a question. Yeah. Two, they're there in the first place because they're trying, like, clearly this person is new. It's a wing taking under the wing opportunity.
I think also, like, I guess the fear of going to somewhere new in general, like whether it's a run club or it's a social group or anything like that, I think kind of channeling that fear and turning it into curiosity, like flipping the switch and renaming it. It's the same thing with like racing. If you're racing a race, you're like, oh, I'm kind of scared going in. No, you're not scared. You're excited.
You're energized.
Yeah, it's just kind of reframing how you go about these things. And if you change fear to curiosity, it gives you're like, I'm going to go here and be curious today. And what are the things that I need to do to be curious? Oh, well, I'll just ask a bunch of questions. I'll meet somebody new. And so it's just a great way to kind of reframe. And
in public speaking at work, we'll have conversations, and a lot of people dealing with fear and nerves, and we say, hey, I mean, if you're at the horse track, you're watching the Kentucky Derby, I am not betting on the horse that's like, okay, time to race. I'm betting on the twitching horse that wants to get out, that's got that extra spark behind it, that's like, hey, I'm ready to go. And that's, you can, again, channel those nerves into that energy. Mm-hmm. Spot on. But back to the drinking. So you're not really a huge drinker by any means. Are you drinking? So no drinking at all? Is it just something that has evolved into that, or is it?
Yeah, it really evolved. I would say, gosh, probably about at least 4 years ago. I was just, alcohol ruins my sleep. It impacts my training, and I wanted to PR so bad that I was like, I don't need this. Like, it's not giving me what I need. Now, granted, I would say that I don't drink, but if I'm in Italy and I want to have a glass of wine with dinner, I'm going to have a glass of wine with dinner in Italy. Like,
it's situational.
There's like certain situations where you're like, but I mean, I'll have that glass.
You're not like doing it for the booze.
Honestly, I do it for the fact that I have the glass in my hand and I feel like super bougie while I'm doing it.
Yes.
And so like I'll take a couple sips of it and like have the ambiance of doing it. But then I'm like, okay, well, this is not.
The vibe has been vibed.
Yeah.
And we're
sometimes
good.
At home I'll pour kombucha in a wine glass and just sip on it because it's like it just feels. The vibes are higher.
The vibes are higher. A thin stem really does change the game.
Yeah,
it really does.
Yeah, my grandma only drinks out of those. Like all of her glasses are like wine glasses.
Like Coca-Cola in a wine glass.
Whatever makes you happy. But yeah, I just for the most part, like I would say I maybe drink one, maybe 2 times a year, and it's for some special occasion.
Yeah.
And it's maybe one drink. So,
well, let's pivot that into fuel, because it's not that every person listening here is going to want to go run an ultra marathon. It's not that they're going to want to become like the fastest runner, the longest distance, but maybe they just want to work on fueling their body properly for movement, like some type of movement. Let's talk about fueling, because even like carbo loading is a real thing, but also at what time, also how long before, not just a race, but any type of big workout, what's good for post. So let's say you're talking to someone, let's say her name is Jill and she's listening to this podcast and she's fit, but maybe isn't seeing the quote unquote physical gains that she wants. Maybe she has moderate energy, nothing too crazy, but like a pretty run of the mill, just, okay, I'm an athletic fit person, but maybe physically I'm not where I want to be, or I'm working so hard. Why am I not seeing either the PRs or the gains that I want?
Well, so running specific
Let's go running and then let's go weight training.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I think they kind of go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it depends on if you're training for aesthetics or performance. So running.
Honestly, let's do both.
Okay.
Let's do both.
So running is a performance sport. You have to fuel to be able to perform. And so otherwise you're running on an empty tank and you're not giving yourself the ability to do what you are capable of. And so I know I've had to learn this the hard way, and I just think that there is this whole high carb revolution going on currently. If you haven't heard it and you don't follow David Roche, follow David Roche and he'll tell you everything you need to know. But
I'm still in the like protein is king, la la la.
Protein is definitely king, but yeah.
But for a performance sport.
For a performance sport, in my last marathon, I think I did 95 grams of carbs an hour, which sounds like a lot.
Wow.
But there's people out there doing 120 grams an hour. But anyways.
But you PR'd.
Yeah, sorry, segue. But running is a performance sport. So if you're going to perform well, you have to teach your body how to fuel, and you have to learn how to do that. I tell a lot of my athletes to start in training, because the last thing you want to do is get to race day and try to figure it out. And then
your stomach is a little weird. You get bloated. It's uncomfortable. Yeah. You don't know how your body's going to respond to it.
But if you do the same thing every day before every run on race day, you already know exactly what to do. And then we'll do like a mock carb load, which a carb load is basically a few days prior to the race where you're increasing your carbohydrate intake to fill up your glycogen stores. And so we'll practice that so your body kind of, you know what it feels like going into that. And that way when you get to the actual event, you are primed and ready, and you know what it...
Quick access.
Yeah. And then your body's going to pop on race day. But I think if you're coming from an empty tank, like, it just doesn't work the same way. You don't have as much to pull from. And when those miles get hard, I fully think that the way you beat the wall, like people talk about hitting the wall in a marathon.
Oh, where they are just like, energetic wall. Your body's just not doing what it needs to be doing.
Right. I think it's a fueling issue. I mean, I think if you didn't train, then that's a whole different conversation. But if you trained and you hit that wall, it is a fueling issue. Because a lot of the times you can beat that wall by simply taking in what you need to in order to perform the way you need to perform.
Totally. And it's like anything in life where if you only get therapy, or if you only go to the doctor when you're already sick, then you're getting medicine and it's a response. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you are planning ahead, it's a preventative medicine. It's the exact same thing. Why would this be any different?
Right.
Why would this be any different? And okay, so it's a fueling issue. Let's talk about pre and post. Let's say you have like a high cardio workout. Maybe you're a runner and you're running morning. Anywhere from like 4 to 10. Yeah, let's just do morning miles.
A normal Thursday. So my go-to pre-run is graham crackers. There's a lady online. Her name is Lisa Featherstone. I think her name's Lisa. Anyways, Featherstone Lisa. Nutrition. She's a great running dietitian. A dietitian is not a nutritionist. Mm-hmm. A dietitian is somebody who went to school for it, and they know what they're talking about. Nutritionists can get a certification online. It's just a different wheelhouse of expertise.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think she is a great trusted source for runners. She has a carb loading calculator online. She has a hydration sweat weight calculator online. Just a great resource. But anyways, where were we at?
We were talking about pre and post.
Oh, pre. Yeah.
For like a morning miles.
So like morning miles.
They're getting a lot of good PR today on the podcast.
So for morning miles, I'll do, so I've been doing this workout actually called Hills for Breakfast before morning miles. So normally my day on Thursday is around 8 miles or 9 miles. But anyways, before a run, I'm doing normally a banana with peanut butter, and then a couple servings.
How much peanut butter?
I just
like a tablespoon?
I do a spoonful and then I just put it on the banana, take a bite, put it on the banana, take a bite. So it'll probably end up be like actually just a tablespoon. But it's enough to like give yourself a little bit of fat going into it, that your body kind of has that to pull from. So depending on how far you're running, since I'm running a little bit further, I'll do a banana, peanut butter, and then some graham crackers. I dip my graham crackers in my coffee.
Oh, I'm a dipper too.
And it's so delightful. You do it early enough, you have time to go to the bathroom, and then you can show up at Run Club ready to rock and roll.
That's a key point is if you run before you've had like your morning conference call, you haven't gone to the bathroom in the morning, it's tough.
Yeah, I would say magnesium glycinate is your best friend at night, and it will help.
Couldn't agree more. Glycinate is,
yeah.
I made the mistake one time of, I think I was backed up. Oh my God, there was something where I think I had traveled internationally and like scheduling was all off and I was blocked. And me not going for a day and a half is big blockage. And never mind. Too much magnesium glycinate. It's like,
oh yeah, you're clean.
It works.
Yeah. But I mean, having even just getting in a routine with that, like taking glycinate before you go to bed at night, that will also help you on race day, but it'll help you before a morning weekday run. So just like starting to implement some of these little strategies in your daily runs will help you when it comes to a bigger event. But that's kind of like my pre-run. If I'm running really long and I need to take a gel or some gummies or have something in between, normally the rule of thumb is like anything over an hour. You really want to probably bring some other kind of fuel, especially the other thing here, we're in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's hot. We need electrolytes. So starting your morning off with some electrolytes before you hit Run Club is also a great play, or at least like right after.
Yeah.
That will help you from cramping. That will help you just have overall balance in your body. Hydration. So hydration's such a big, if you think you're failing in one area, the place to tune in is hydration.
Let's talk about it.
Just for
not
overall,
just water. What kind of electrolytes do you use? Because I use
Element. I just think it's so concentrated, and it's just it's great.
It does it feels like it's working
when
you're drinking. You
I
can
put it in
taste
a liter of water, and I'm like good to go.
Yeah.
And normally, if I finish that liter before I even get in the office in the morning, I feel like, all right, I'm a liter in. But I try to get in like 3 liters at least of water a day.
Sure.
Because I think all of your body's processes, digestion, going to the restroom, staying hydrated, being an athlete,
blood
sweat rate,
flow, everything.
Yeah, so if you feel like there's some sort of imbalance in your body, I think that a good place to start is water and getting in enough electrolytes. But yeah, to having that pre-run, going back to Run Club, before your run or after is really essential. And if it's going to be super hot the next morning, you can do it the night before.
Yeah.
As well.
I hear a lot of people and I see a lot of people, and Run Club morning, I do this. I do a little teeny tiny bit of coconut fat or coconut oil in my coffee with it's just cream, a shot of espresso, water. And I've been up for about 45 minutes at the point where I drink that, but I don't eat anything before morning miles. It's 4 miles, I come home, and then I eat a big breakfast. So if I were going for more performance, for sure. But I'm out there running a 9:30 minute mile. I'm out there for a little bit of joy. But the electrolytes, so I wake up, I do half a liter of electrolytes before run. I have my coffee, run, come back, load up.
Yeah.
That's fine. For 4 miles, it's fine.
And it's first thing in the morning. I think that's okay. I would say,
like, I eat a big dinner.
If you were training for a race,
sure,
I would say trying to learn how to fuel before a run would be really critical. But if you're just going out there to find joy in 4 miles before your day starts and you're refueling afterwards, then I think that's great. I would definitely try to get in some sort of protein and carbs and replenish afterwards. But I mean,
the afterwards, I feel like I'm pretty unstoppable. I feel really, really great about my refuel, but I what I hear is a lot of people will not drink, or maybe they'll just have coffee afterwards, and then they'll wait an hour or two, maybe even more, to have their first meal post run. Let's talk, because I feel like we could start. Okay, let's do a quick give a couple options for best post workout. Because I know what I eat, but what would you recommend for post? And then I want to talk more about evolution into hormones.
So if you're short on time, the easiest thing is getting some protein. You can put it in a shaker bottle. You can do a little bit of almond milk. Normally I poured the other half of my coffee that I didn't drink in there.
Yep.
If you want to make it into a smoothie, you can add a banana. But the easiest way for me is I'll come home, I'll put some protein in a shaker and then sip on that while I'm getting ready for work. And then pretty soon after that, I think, oatmeal is a good option. Oatmeal and eggs, Greek yogurt and berries with some granola on there are all kind of great options. I'm trying to think of what else. I'm very much a creature of habit.
Same.
Like I have my pre-run breakfast, quote unquote breakfast, and then I have my post-run, and then I have my second breakfast. So very much a breakfast person, but I think all of that together probably gives me everything I need. But I think oatmeal, some sort of, you can put peanut butter in there, you can put berries in there. So think
you can
protein,
put your protein
carbs,
in the oatmeal.
you can put your protein in your oatmeal.
I used to do that all the time with a little bit of chia seed, and it was great.
Yeah, I put eggs in my oatmeal sometimes.
I used to do
it's
that.
It's very like a savory oatmeal.
I would just do egg whites and mix it all
and mix
up.
them in. I do like scrambled eggs, and then I put them on top of my oatmeal, and then eat it like almost like they were grits, because I guess very Southern background.
Very Southern. I don't know about oats. I feel like that's more of a mental thing. I would need like a real seasoning in that, but I'd probably do a quinoa. Like I could definitely do a quinoa.
Yeah.
Okay. So an egg. So
just
pretty
think
classic,
protein,
easy.
carbs, fats, like
Yes.
a little bit of each. Protein wise, probably getting at least 25 grams of protein. If you can get in more, great.
Yeah.
I still live by the rule of like 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. It's just a great, easy way to think about it. Having protein at every meal.
Agreed.
Just protein's how we repair. So that's why it's important.
Let's talk about hormones.
Oh gosh.
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about fasted morning runs.
That's what brought me into hormones.
Yeah, that can totally wreck your hormones. And I will say, we were talking a little bit before this. There was a period of time where like I would run and I didn't have my period 4 years.
For 4 years you didn't have it.
Well, not 4 years, but four. Like for a series of years.
Okay.
I don't know how long, but there was definitely a chunk of time where I didn't have it, and it took gaining some weight, doing a better job of fueling my body to get it back and to have it be more regular. But I think that's something that's probably very common, especially when you start chasing performance or getting super lean or anything like that.
Do you recall other symptoms that you were feeling at the time that you lost your period?
Yeah, I mean, I was probably not doing a really good job like of fueling myself. So, lightheaded, dizzy, like not having all
sleeping.
Not sleeping as well, not having as much energy. And then trying to get it back was another battle.
Let's talk about that, because I think it's the mindset shift that you go through of thinking I need to appear a certain way with a certain percent body fat, and then realizing your body is going to almost penalize you for that, and then realizing you have to actually gain some weight back. Especially, I would say, for women, body dysmorphia is a super real thing.
Huge, yeah.
And especially in this industry, in this space, it's big out of this space, but in it's even crazier. And it's kind of a mind warp when someone says, you need to put on a little bit of body fat. Let's talk about healthy ways to do that, because I know there's a lot of people who, if they are trying to get pregnant, if they are trying to get their period back, if they are simply dealing with just symptoms that they don't understand where they're coming from, but they know maybe they're at a lean weight, what would you say? How would you approach now?
I think reframing food as fuel
Yeah.
is a great way, or it's like just a great like mental way to start, and knowing that, you know, this is helping me to be able to perform the way that I want to perform, or yeah, I think that simple reframing is just a great way to take something that could have negative connotations behind it and rethink it of, this is something that's helping me, giving me life. It's giving me my hopes and dreams. And so I think that's one way.
What was did you have a specific protocol for yourself, or did you just keep it simple and then just increase your calories throughout the day?
Yeah, I think I just had to, I looked at the quality. I'm very much a whole foods kind of person. Like, I want to eat whole fruits and vegetables and make sure that I'm getting in quality in my diet. But I think just kind of increasing a little bit.
Because it's not like that you need
it's not like you
triple your calorie intake.
No, it's just trying to make sure you're doing like the little things, like getting protein in with every meal.
Yeah.
Eating real meals. I will
having 3 bars a day is not.
That's not. And I will be honest, my boyfriend, when I started dating him, I eat more solid meals, and I'll even meal prep. He's like, Casey, that's not big enough. And I'm like, okay. Then, and I've just understanding.
Get you a man that tells you to eat more.
Well, even just understanding what 25 grams of protein looks like is a great place to start.
It really is.
Weigh out 25 grams of protein, because you probably can eat more than you think you can.
Oh, absolutely. If you're looking at a chicken breast, just an organic chicken breast, it's going to be the size of your palm. I have small hands, but a flat chicken breast, that's 25 grams of protein.
Well, and that's like a serving of rice is like a cup.
It's so not that much. We can eat more than we can do it.
But I think just grasping the concept of how much, and if you think about clean ingredients, you can take in a lot more. But if you eat that bar, and that bar has 300 calories, and it's, you don't really know what's in it, and then you're hungry 30 minutes later, I think thinking about actual food quality is really important. But understanding what portions are, and knowing what a real meal looks like, I think is a great place to start, because I think we call it girl dinner, but it's
3 Cornichons, a piece of cheese, and
a yogurt bowl is not dinner. Like, as much as I would love for it to be, it's not dinner. And I think there's you sit there and wonder, oh, why am I hungry throughout the day? And it's like, look at what you're eating and then see if it's actually nourishing food.
We went through, in our last episode, the top 5 protein bars that you might see at different grocery stores or wherever, and we went through Kind bars, Aloha, Go Macro, Think, and one other, and a couple of them were doing really great, but when you look at them, you have to look at what is being balanced out. I was going through it and seeing some of them were slightly higher carb, lower in fiber. I was like, maybe this is a good for a pre-race bar. Yeah. And because you don't want to have a ton of fiber before. But then there are some that you would have as a convenience bar for a snack, and you want it to tide you over. And it had, I think some of them had like 11 grams of fiber and then 20 grams of protein. I was like, this is what you want. This is substance, because then if there's high fiber, there's good carb. And if there's good carb and good protein, then you have 2 out of the 3. It's like the fat, protein, carb. Fat, you're going to get. I just believe that if you're cooking your meals at home, you're going to get fat. So, you know what I mean? You're going to get your fats in.
Yes.
And those are the little sneaky things too, because if you're thinking calories, but then you're thinking whole foods, thinking about how you're prepping these things. If you're using 3 tablespoons of olive oil to put things together, that's an extra 400 calories. It matters. Some of it doesn't, but that's why it goes back to simple cooking. It's like steam when you can, or drizzle things after you cook,
Yeah.
salt after you cook. Unless you're trying to get more salt, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, but yeah. No, I mean, I would agree. I did start cooking with more butter. I think it makes things taste better.
It does.
But I mean, just like it's not that hard to just like lightly grease a pan with a little bit of butter and
Yeah.
cook your eggs or anything like that. But thinking about just like overall diet quality, I think is really important. And so looking
Yeah.
at eating whole meals, eating well, eating to nourish, eating to fuel, is literally just a great place to be at.
It's simple, but I feel like it's the thing that holds a lot of us back. It's the thing that holds a lot of us back because we think in our minds convenience or aesthetic. And while those are all great things, we also need to think about what our body needs to not be in fight or flight. What can we actually do, not just in our performance, but okay, how is your brain going to operate well today? Because if you are in a low mental state, you can also look at your food. Like, have you eaten today?
Yeah.
Or are you consistently drinking coffee throughout the day? You're not sleeping well at night, and you don't need an aura ring to tell you if you're sleeping well or not.
No, you just have to literally go meditate and tune into your body a little bit. And your body will tell you exactly what it needs if you really listen to it.
Oh, man, we could go on so many different tangents. It's like sometimes your body knows before your mind does. And that goes with relationships. It goes for fuel. It goes for workouts, the whole thing. Like if you meet someone and you think, oh, this should be all great, but something's off, you just can't put your finger on it. It's called your instinct or the Holy Spirit or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But it's something. Speaking of hormones, I want to hear your thoughts on birth control.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I will be honest. I didn't get my period until I was like 17 or 18 years old. I was like really late. And when I got it, I had it for like 2 weeks straight. So I almost immediately went into birth control. Like my mom was like, we need to get this regulated out. Like, and so I've been on birth control since I was basically 18 years old, 19 years old. I don't know at this point, don't know what it does to my body. And
Can I ask if you're on the pill or an IUD? Or
I have the ring.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I just think, I've been on it. So I feel more comfortable that it is where it is and I'm not having to orally ingest a pill all the time and it has to go through like my entire system. But I think eventually, like this is probably too deep, but I don't think I want to have kids.
Okay.
And my boyfriend and I have talked about that, and I think that's just kind of where we both lie. And so, I think just having it it's something that I don't even think about anymore, honestly. And that's not necessarily the best thing, but I do think just to have it be regular and regulate things and keep things normal.
It's what you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've been on different kinds. I've been off. I've been on. I'm off, thank God. And I genuinely don't know if I'll ever get back on just because.
I am very curious to know how my body will feel like actually being off, if that will change anything.
Would you ever consider, and this is genuine just curiosity. I get curious.
Yeah.
Have you thought about tracking naturally? I feel like if anyone in the whole entire world would be a master at tracking their cycle naturally, it'd be you.
So I have an app that tracks my cycle.
Yeah.
But
I can see you like reading all these books and getting so in tune with like what's going on in my body right now, telling you I think it would be such a cool case study for you.
Yeah, I am also the person who I don't like to mentally think about what phase I am in my cycle and how I'm going to structure my training around that.
Sure.
Because I want to be able to train like an athlete, and I don't think necessarily being in one place in your cycle, and I'm sure people would disagree with me, but I I think just trying to perform throughout the whole
Consistently.
thing. Yeah, trying to be a little bit more consistently and not quote unquote giving
Don't be
yourself
a little bee.
excuses. It's like, but
Oh, I am queen. I'm like, oh, first day of my cycle, time to walk.
yeah. But I mean, I think to each their
I'm
own.
fine. Exactly.
But
if I'm
like,
trying to run a 50K, 60K, 100K,
Yeah.
then look, I'm going to be looking at things a little differently, I
Right.
think.
Yeah.
But I also think that if you are someone who is not willing to negotiate on your sleep, not willing to negotiate on your meals and your fuel, like you're setting yourself up to be able to consistently train. If you're saying, "Oh, well, I'm on this phase of my cycle, but I'm not going to," like maybe you would eat more at a certain phase of your cycle if you feel like you need it so that you can consistently work out. Like you would be able to, you're going to adapt your life to your cycle, not the other way around.
right.
And I find that
Yeah, I think that's more what it is. I don't want to adapt my life to my cycle. I just want to like have a very structured, regimented kind of.
you're like, I'm going to do whatever
Yeah,
I need to do
what I-
feel the way that I need to feel
Yeah,
to
and if one
consistently
day,
train.
I mean, I will say, like, if you need a rest day or if you want to take a day to do, like, I took a rest day on Wednesday. I just needed a reset.
Well,
like,
wait. What is a rest day for Casey, though?
I actually did hardly anything on Wednesday. I just needed a straight up reset.
Does that mean you still had 10K steps?
No, I had 2,000 steps. Like, I literally took like
So proud of you.
I needed a reset day.
But how often is that? Is that twice a month?
That's probably a little bit more rare. On a normal rest day, I'll probably. I don't really look at my steps because I'm normally over it anyways.
Oh, you is
like throughout the
17,000.
week at
Sure.
least. Like, and so I think it might be like an easy like 30 minutes, just like spinning my legs on the bike.
Literally
I may
blood
do-
flow, not anything
Yeah,
crazy.
I may do solid core, which I think's not really a workout, but
Oh, see, I'm like
Pilates.
This is okay. Here's what I wanted to say. That's why I was curious because
Yeah.
your rest day. This for someone listening who doesn't know Casey, guys. This woman.
It's so low impact. Like my heart rate doesn't get elevated. Like that's kind of what I
Yes,
think about
but
the rest day. Is like
Yes.
your heart rate doesn't get above like what 100 and something beats.
100.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would like to. There's 400,000 topics I want to talk about, but I do want to talk about cross training because you are not. You have the fittest, strongest body. You're not a little wafer that's running a marathon and you're thinking, how is this person like standing up straight? You have built such a gorgeous, solid frame. Like your legs are chiseled, things are moving, your abs, your shoulders are popping, things are great. You cross train, you're running and you're lifting weights. What is your weight lift? Like how many days a week are you saying you're weightlifting?
Well, I will say I've learned a lot about weightlifting, and it does not have to always look like going in there and lifting heavy and hitting a PR every time you lift.
No.
And I've had to like restructure
Again,
all that.
consistency.
Yeah, it's really about consistency. It's really about evolution every time. I've done CrossFit for, oh gosh, since 2017, I think. 2016 or no 2018. I've done CrossFit for a number of years, and I think that has been one of the biggest things that's made me durable. I go to Grit House in Charlotte.
I was talking to someone this morning who goes to Grit House.
It's amazing.
And they said that they absolutely love it.
They coach so well. Like I go in there and
So they're smart there. They're not just
smart.
throwing
They
stuff
warm you
around.
up. They correct your form. You know, if you're doing something wrong, they're gonna come over and tell you. Like I feel like there's like a level of like a standard that you have to hold, like being in Grit House, of having appropriate forms, so you are more cognizant of it.
So it's an intermediate gym, would you say?
I would say it's I mean,
Okay.
I would say they cater to a lot, but I would say it's a great place to learn. Like if you're going to take CrossFit and do that, it's a great place to learn appropriate form, be corrected, and have somebody teaching you how to move well. I think that's such a big part of CrossFit is being able to move well and,
Agreed.
and have good
Some
movement.
CrossFit, like
Yeah.
good CrossFit.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would pay attention to who your coaches are and do they talk or walk the talk.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but if I'm getting coached by somebody and they don't look like they walk the talk, I'm not going to get coached by them.
I couldn't agree more.
That's a whole different topic, but I think they do such a good job of just like coaching movement quality, building you up appropriately. But I will say that knowing that at my background, and I had this thought this morning. So I was squatting this morning and I was sitting there thinking, okay, I ran 13 miles at a 7:30 pace before I went and squatted. And I was squatting.
I'm like, I just love you.
I was squatting, like, I think it
135.
I was squatting 145 because I was at the men's bar.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And
let's go.
So I was squatting 145 for 5 after doing a 13-mile run. And so I'm not able to lift as heavy as maybe I would want to, but to have that solid ability to be able to move weight after a run, I have to like check myself because I'm like, you are doing well. Like,
girl, that's called well-rounded.
Yeah, I think but that's taken years. Like, that's the thing that, like, I didn't just walk in and be able to do that. Like, I had to spend time just working on running. I had to spend time just working on lifting. But for me, I have to check my own ego at the door because, like, lifting heavy is not my goal.
Yeah.
My goal is being able to run this 100-miler at the end of the year, run UTMB, like, run all these races that I have on my run sub 3. Like, all of these goals are the reason why.
A marathon sub 3 hours?
Yeah, that's my.
Wow.
It's a big A goal, and I've got a couple things lined up that we're
going to get to your goals. Don't you worry.
But I have to check myself that, like, lifting may look a little bit different when you're running really fast or running high mileage or anything. Or
range of motion might be a little different. Or
I would think even if you're getting started on your quote unquote hybrid journey, adding in running to a lifting plan, there has to be some sort of balance, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It's more about like you said, consistency. Being what Jeff Cunningham says, being consistently good over occasionally great. It's like literally it's like one of those things of just continually showing up, doing what you can. If you need to lower your weight and just work on movement quality and work on range of motion is such a big part of overall training because, you know, if my hips aren't moving well, then my legs aren't going to be able to perform well. And then my calf hurts and then this, that, and the other.
It's such a chain reaction.
Yeah. And especially like getting older, I think my mobility is such a big part of that, but I am really good when I go into the gym to warm up well, to do some hip openers, to work on mobility, as part of that lifting plan.
Yes.
But I just think it's such a balancing act. I think I think lifting makes you a better runner. It makes you more durable.
Yeah.
It gives you different gears to pull from. It helps with injuries.
That was where I was going to go next with this, because I know you and I have both, I've seen Matt a couple of times for random knee stuff. Cause at work I'll go a few days in a row wearing heels and I take them off every chance I get, but it's like part of my work uniform when I'm teaching. And at one point my meniscus, pulled not out of socket, but if you slip a disc in your back, it just slides out a little bit.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened to my meniscus, where I thought I tore my meniscus. I could not extend. I was freaking out because this was in the beginning of like the trauma of earlier this year or a few months ago. And I thought, if I can't work out right now, I'm going to jump off a bridge. And so I went in, got it checked, and he did some PT, and we figured it out. He gave me some stuff, and it was basically healed 2 days later. I was like, okay.
I think Matt Crandall is the best PT in Charlotte, and I will plug him.
I could not agree more.
My power physio, he is. I have seen him for the last 10 to 11 years, and he has got me out of so many different things. But
he's coming on the podcast. We're getting him on the podcast.
That is great because he is fantastic.
But can we talk about common injuries in running?
Yeah, I think, a lot of mine have come from my sciatic nerve, and
yes,
it gets so
off.
And so many people think that they have certain injuries, but a lot of the times they're just imbalances. And two, I think there's this whole negative connotation with getting an injury. An injury is a form of adaptation in the body. And in order to get better at sport, you might experience adaptations in the body. And so, like, sometimes things have to break down to get stronger.
I couldn't agree more. What I was doing, and mine was so mild. I don't want to, like, make it seem like a big deal. It wasn't. I was just freaking out because I thought it was going to be worse. The work that I've done around it now is it's changing everything. I'm waking up doing different things. I'm sitting differently. Like, the way I run is a little different right now, and it feels better.
Yeah, I would say one of the biggest things, this is kind of a rewind, but after I graduated grad school and started working full time and had to sit at a desk all day, that was where I literally thought, there's something wrong with this.
Yes.
I think, and I'm so grateful for standing desks and walking pads and all that kind of different ways you can do different ergonomics at your workstation. But I just think being cognizant of how you use your body and getting regular, PT work is not the last resort.
No.
I go see Matt and I get preventative maintenance almost every other week. And honestly,
he's on your front lines.
Yeah. As I build up for this next race, I told him, I was like, I kind of want to see you every week. It's expensive, but you know what? So are races, and so are trips, and so are all these things that you're investing in.
So is alcohol. So is going out to eat.
Yeah. But being able to use your body and use it well and keep moving forward, I think so beneficial. And if you can increase your longevity and quality of life while you're here, it's worth every penny.
Yes.
But I think there's different running injuries that having somebody who's qualified and knows how to address them. I thought I had patella tendonitis. I thought I had a stress fracture in my calf,
or like a slip disc in your side, and then you got sciatic.
You know what it is? It's a freaking tight muscle that needs
your
to be
SI
worked
joint's
out.
locked out.
Like the patella tendonitis, my quad was completely locked up. If your quad's locked up, your knee's not going to move properly. If you have tight calves, of course you're going to start to develop shin splints, and that can develop into a stress reaction and then a stress injury
or plantar fasciitis.
But if you're going to do that preventative maintenance once a week, you hit this step before it becomes an issue, and you're able to stay in the game.
Again, preventative, same with fuel, same with anything.
And your recovery has to be a huge strategy. I almost say 50-50, recover just as hard as you train.
That's, I think, a good way to describe you is you're very strategic. And I think that's also what's been such a power play in your running career is you've been able to not only strategize your health, your fuel, your timing for races, your coaching ability, but also your time management. You have a full-time job. You have a boyfriend. It's not like you're it's not like you're only running all the time, but running is one of your full-time jobs. Like, you have two full-time jobs, training and you have a job. Look, you are Superman with two different situations happening. Plus you're maintaining a healthy relationship. Like, those are three full-time jobs.
Well, I think relationships are easy if you're in it with the right person. So that's just a plug there. But
our next podcast episode.
Yeah.
No, you guys have it. It seems like there's a good cadence going and a good understanding.
It's understanding and balance. But
you're also dating like a wild man ultra marathoner. Like,
we have a very big understanding. He gets me and I get him. But
y'all really, you have a fascinating relationship.
And that's, you talk about meeting at a run club. We actually kind of met at a run club. I told him he was crazy, and this was before I actually started dating him, and we actually became friends. But then I started hanging out with him because I was like, hey, he'll go do this crazy workout with me. Hey, you want to be friends? Da, 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 da. And then, a year later we're dating. But
I think that's such a beautiful, healthy way to go, is like, you're friends, and then you realize, wow, relationships are just friendship where you know what I mean? And I think
You
slow
should-
is
you
good.
should-
Slow and consistent. Do it consistently
We
well
called it-
for a long time
Yeah.
instead of great sometimes.
Well, we called it an 18-minute mile. Like, we're going to move at an 18-minute mile pace with this relationship.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the
And
best
that's-
advice I've ever
That's like, keep it slow and steady. Like, when we actually first started dating, that was like, literally, I was like, I'm scared. Like, you're one of my best friends. I don't want to screw this up. But it's been one of the most rewarding and best relationships I've ever been in. But anyways, we can go back to where we were.
Yeah, I could hear about that part all day. And I think that that's having a supportive partner. Let's just say you were with your partner.
If I didn't have Phil, I think if I was trying to date right now, it would be really hard to do all the things that I do. Having somebody who is on my team and who supports me and who's like, hey, I'll pick up dinner tonight, or, just be that sounding board, or just to have fun with, or like to be that warm hug when I get home after a hard day.
He's not your stressor. He's not your stressor. He is your like peace after all the other stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Good.
So I couldn't have a stressful relationship with everything else I got going on.
Come on. Just kidding. No, you don't. It will break down your body.
And I've had those. Like, I've been in rough relationships. And
what do you think what was your biggest lesson? If you're looking at one rough relationship in your life, romantic relationship, what was your biggest what'd you lesson?
Well, my biggest first lesson was don't date a narcissist. But I think your gut. I mean, your gut knows.
See, your body knows before your mind. Sometimes.
Yeah, and when it doesn't feel right, just don't make excuses. Just be like, I think taking ownership in yourself and like just saying, hey, this isn't right for me right now. Like,
you don't even have to put your finger on it.
Yeah, the right person will understand. The right person will be there. The right person won't make you guess who you are, question your sanity, make you feel like an imposter in your own community. Like, you'll get a kick out of this. So the person that I'm referring to told me that I didn't go to run clubs and that I wasn't a part of the running community, and I was just doing it for him. And I was like, oh,
what?
Little do you know.
Little do you know that you...
I've been in this running game longer than you've been. But anyways, that was, I mean...
Is this person in Charlotte? Can you give me the name after this so I know who not to set friends up with?
I just don't think anybody who's going to make you question your sanity or question who you are as a person...
You shouldn't be more confused in a relationship less confident.
You should not. That person builds you up. They are on your team. They
respect
support you. They should never make you question who you are.
Life is a roller coaster. Your relationship doesn't need to be one.
Exactly. Relationships are supportive. And that's in any kind of relationship. That's like in your personal relationships with friends. Like friends.
And you as a coach. Like you and your people, you're there to bolster them. Mm-hmm. You're there to bolster them. Okay, we're going to do a rapid fire. You ready?
Yeah.
We need to do part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, but we don't have time for all that today. Okay. What was the hardest moment of any race that you've done? What did you tell yourself to get through that moment?
There was a couple. I'm thinking specifically to my first 50 miler and my first 100 miler. In my first 50 miler, I felt really good up until probably the last 10 miles.
Where were you?
Huh?
Like, what was the terrain? What was the?
It was pouring rain, and it was at Antelope Canyon.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And so
yes,
my knee started to hurt, and like I started to change my gait a little bit, and I just told myself my knee is strong. My body is strong. My knee is strong. My body is strong. And I just recited that over and over. And I was able to continue running. But I think just reciting that, but then also in the 100, when I had really bad blisters on my feet, and the last 40 miles were a real struggle. And I had a friend tell me, he said, isn't it a joy to feel this pain? Because not many people get to feel this pain. And you get to set it down. When you finish this race, you can set that pain down and continue on. And you know that you don't have to experience it ever again if you don't want to. But what a joy to be able to be in it and experience it. And that just hit me like a ton of bricks. And it just reframed the way that I thought about those last couple miles. Is like, I get to be here. What a joy it is to be able to move my body. What a joy it is to be able to run in Arizona in 100-degree heat in the freaking desert.
These beautiful red rocks.
On mile 85 and everything hurts. What a joy. You
gotta be a little delulu.
Yeah, but I mean, it was just like a total reframing. And I got back to work that next Monday and I was like, nothing is hard. After that, nothing is hard. And it's so I would say
that's so good. So that was during your 50 and your 100.
Mm-hmm.
How many 50s have you done? How many 100s have you done?
I've done, oh gosh, I've done one 100. I have my second 100 at the end of this year.
That's what this is. Okay.
I've done one 100K. I'm doing another 100K.
Was that your one in Spain last year?
Or Andorra. We ran around the entire country, Andorra. And then I've done, I think.
Let me come crew you on your next international.
Yeah, come on. I think I've done official races, 50 milers. I think I've done 4 50s.
Enough that you're losing count.
Yeah, I've done a handful of 50Ks, about 30 marathons. I've done a ton of marathons.
Let me ask you a real question. When you look at marathons now, could you guess that that's probably the way that I look at a 10K?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's all perspective because I didn't just get here to where I told myself I'd never run an ultra. I told myself a lot of things, but you can change. You can totally change your perspective, and I think that's why getting curious and just trying. If you fail, okay, great, you got feedback. It's not failure, it's feedback. And so I think that's just reframe. Name of it.
So we're going to title the episode that. All right. Running accessories. What do you think is a waste of money? What do you think is the number one running accessory?
If you're running your first marathon, you do not need super shoes. Unless you're really going for a super amazing time, if you're just going to go out there and kind of jog it, I don't think you need super shoes. Now, if you're going out there to actually race it and you think that those will help, then, and you're planning to go.
Spend the money.
Yeah. I just think it's just a lot of money to put into something if you're doing it for the first time and as a hobby and you're really learning about the sport. Say that again. What is
your number one recommended accessory for running?
My number one
whether it's 3 miles or 100 miles.
Some clothes with pockets.
Pockets, yes.
Pockets. Bandit makes some great running shorts, running tops. A lot of them have pockets. I would look at whatever you're buying, and if it doesn't have pockets, I personally would not buy it. And
I agree.
If you're doing a 5K and you don't need a lot of stuff,
you can run with your phone for 3 miles.
You can run with your phone, but
you don't want you don't realize how good it feels to not.
Yeah, having a few pockets is a total game changer.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
What's your biggest goal for this year? Let's get specific. Let's say it out loud. What are some PRs? And I want a personal and then an athletic.
Well, there's a couple. We'll start with athletic. I want to run a sub-3 marathon.
Let's go.
Whether it's this year. I'm fully open to the process. I just ran a 3:06. My first marathon was a 4:04. So we've been working on this for a long time. And honestly, when I ran a 4:04, I had no idea that girl was going to run a 3:06. That girl had no goals of running a 3:06. I had no goals of running sub-3. That's why I say just start. But I would love to break 3 hours in the marathon. I'd love to break 24 hours in a 100-mile. That the 100, that's my big goal, is to go sub 24.
That's big.
And then I want to survive UTMB.
For those listening who don't know,
UTMB is I'm doing the CCC, which is you basically run through Italy, Switzerland, and you end in Chamonix, France. It's 100K that I'm doing. My boyfriend's doing the 100-mile.
which is 60.
I would say it's 100K plus, because the UTMB series never actually goes 100K or 100 miles. There's always like a couple extra miles that they throw in there. So I'm guessing it's probably going to be anywhere between 65 to 67 miles.
Okay.
In the mountains, it's going to be a lot of hiking.
It's not like you are going to be running for 24 hours. It's
No,
walking, hiking,
power hiking,
crawling.
That's why I say running is not just always running. Like
she's on the
it could be
Stairmaster,
shuffling,
she's squatting.
It could be a lot of different
climbing
things.
down using your hands on rocks at night.
But surviving that race and doing just well. Those are, I guess, my athletic goals. And then my personal goals, be a good coach, be the best coach I can be the best girlfriend I can be the best daughter I can be a good aunt. So, I mean, I think it's really pouring into the people in my life who matter to me, and doing that well. I know it's like when you have a lot of things going on, it's sometimes hard to neglect, but like tonight I'm going to stay with my grandma. And we'll go have a girls' night and have a slumber party with my grandma. It's like spending time with the people that matter to me is really a personal goal.
That is awesome. I think a perfect way to end. Casey Cline, thank you for coming on the Hotter Than Health podcast.
Thanks
you
for
are
having me.
welcome back anytime. We'll have to
this
have
was
you
so
on.
much fun.
In the next 6 months, we'll have you back on. We'll talk about UMTB.
UTMB.
UTMB for all my
Ultra
dyslexic
Trail
people
Mont
out there. What is it?
Ultra Trail Mont Blanc.
Mont Blanc. Oh, that makes much more sense. Got it. Well, we expect pictures. Where can people find you? Plug yourself on social media, wherever you are.
You can find me at Casey Cline _ on Instagram. And I'm around in the local running scene. So if you see me,
running scene.
come up to me. I'm honestly an introvert. So like I'm kind of shy. So please come up to me and say hi if you see me. But
not scary.
I'm not
scary.
I'm not trying to be scary. I'm not trying to ignore anybody. I'm just kind of shy and an introvert a little bit. So
not scary, just ready to run.
I probably should have started with that.
Thank you so much for being here. You're the best.